Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Thursday's Thought for the Day. Hope you're all well. I was in a ministry meeting on Monday with my ministry team colleagues, and one of them spoke about the sort of dismantling that occurred during this period of COVID-19, a dismantling, or at the very least a fundamental change in the way we have all related to each other. The inability to meet physically as a church, the curtailment of other church activities such as our pop-in and our mother and child group, TLC, the inability for us to have face-to-face meetings and so on. And despite our best efforts, which I think have been incredible, not that they're down to me, we've made connections online, by telephone, Zoom, YouTube, Facebook, but that could never truly replicate the face-to-face interaction. I know that, however, that without that technology, things could have been and felt much worse. And I know that many have felt isolated, many of us fearful, and those feelings can have long-term effects as we move to a more restriction-free life. And I think we need to be gentle with each other as we emerge, recognise our feelings. I know that I've been impacted quite subtly by the lockdowns. I've noticed a tendency in me to want to get back home when I'm out, to stay at home if I haven't got a specific task to do outside. And it comes down, I think, to a lack of confidence that's crept up on me in a subtle way, as I said, over this time. It's slowly built, almost without me noticing, but I know it's there. And for us all as individuals and the church, it seems like we're on the cusp of rebuilding after the dismantling. And whilst this is a good thing, something that we need to welcome, it's also a bit daunting. How best do we do it? How do we get back together again? What's needed to include everyone and respect specific needs? And the colleague who spoke about the dismantling also spoke about a recent meeting of the mother and child group that she runs, the first one for over a year, and she noticed there was a real need to talk and a depth in that conversation that hadn't been there previously. And it was the start of a rebuilding and a signpost perhaps as to what is needed at this time. It feels as though people are in real need of meaningful and safe relationships. And it's got me thinking of the story in the Old Testament books of Ezra and Nehemiah, which give accounts of the return of the Israelites from exile in Babylon. And I suppose I could see some parallels in our current situation as we return to life beyond COVID. I hope that's not an exaggeration, but I do see some parallels. In Nehemiah chapter 2 verse 18 it says, "Let's start rebuilding." So they began this good work. And the Israelites returned in small groups over time, with the first groups preparing the way for the rest to return. Perhaps this is what we've been doing for a time, when we've been meeting outdoors. The first times that we met outdoors, it was just, a few people, and that's grown. It's still not the full congregation, but it seems as though those people have been preparing the way in the hope that we will eventually all come together again. And because they'd been away from home in Israel for so long, they had to spend time reconnecting with each other, remembering all that had gone before and celebrating being together again. Perhaps this shows the importance of us, as well as worshipping together, we need to have some social activities together, some celebratory events to spend time together, to be able to talk with each other, reflecting on what's gone before and learning from each other how we've all felt, how we've coped, and what we hope for. And the temple and the walls around the city needed to be rebuilt when they returned. The foundations were still there, but they still had to work together to rebuild what used to be there. Well, St Albans isn't falling down or in need of such major repair, but our familiar structures of meeting together have been interrupted, have been breached. But we have to remember that the foundation is still there, because that foundation, of course, is Jesus. And when the Israelites returned, they recommissioned their land and worship space as a praise offering to God for bringing them back safely. Perhaps we need to dedicate a time, a service to do exactly that, to praise and thank God for our ability to return. And after returning to Israel, God's people spent time remembering those who were no longer with them. And during this time of COVID, here at St Albans, we've lost some very, very dear friends. And it's important that we remember them, particularly because of COVID. We couldn't attend their funerals or have a memorial service. So each of us in our own homes remembered them at that time, remembered their families. Some of us gathered outside St Albans for at least 2 of those funerals. But it's important that we remember those people. They were very much part of us. And maybe we could use the Israelites' experience of return from exile as a template to plan how we might move forward as we begin to come back together again, as we begin to rebuild from that dismantling. And I think it's important to mark the transition in ways that enable us to acknowledge where we've been and to rebuild and move forward in our faith journey together. Let's hope we can do those things. Well, I'm not sure whether I'll be speaking to you next week because I'm on holiday. Last time I was there, I hoped to record some things while I was up there, but couldn't get the correct signal. But we'll see. So look after yourselves and take care. God bless. Bye-bye.